Welcome to the Activated Storyteller 66th podcast, December 6th, 2007.
This week's story is The Tragic Fate of Jack Sparrow, an African-American tale.
Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Kimberly.
And I'm Zephyr.
And together we are
the Activated Storytellers.
And we are coming to you from Georgia this time around. We've been doing a bit of traveling these past few days.
A bit. Whoa.
We've gone from North Carolina through South Carolina, and we are now about the middle of Georgia. Just left Macon this earlier today.
Yes, we just left North Carolina, where my band was in the studio for a very prolonged period of time.
Working on a secret project.
And by secret project, we mean new album.
Yes.
Now, on the way down, driving through Georgia, we stopped at a couple of interesting little museums briefly. First of all, in the town of Harlem, which is near Augusta, we stopped at the Laurel and Hardy Museum. And this is one of two Laurel and Hardy museums. One is in England at the birthplace of Stan Laurel, and this one is in Harlem, Georgia, which is the birthplace of Oliver Hardy.
How did they meet if they were born in entirely different countries?
Well, they met by chance when they were cast in the same film. Oliver Hardy was born in Harlem. His real name was actually Norvell Hardy, but when he started performing, he took his father's name, Oliver, as his stage name.
He was also called Babe for a while, too.
Yeah, that was a nickname offstage, yes. His mother managed a hotel for a while where entertainers stayed, and so he got really interested in that. And then he was a theater manager later on, and he started performing. He went to perform for a film studio in Jacksonville, Florida. They had a film industry there.
Which is where we're going right now. In fact, we're performing there the day this airs. We are performing in Jacksonville Beach, Florida.
Yes. And that kind of fizzled, and he went to work for another studio in New Jersey. And later on, that studio moved to California, and he went with them.
Oh.
And then Stan Laurel, whose real name was Stan Jefferson, came over from England. When he got to be a successful stage performer, he got into film. He started out, well, he didn't really start out, but at one point he was an understudy for another famous British comic.
I know.
Who?
Charlie Chaplin?
That's correct. He was an understudy for Charlie Chaplin.
I don't remember Laurel and Hardy too well, but I do remember that when I was a real little kid, I used to have some of their stuff on video. We found that somewhere, and I used to watch that over and over and over again.
Yes, and Charlie Chaplin and a lot of the greats.
Yeah, I kind of had a little black and white movie phase when I was real small, and I still watch them. I still love them.
You watch Buster Keaton all the time.
I do. I love Buster Keaton. I'm a huge fan of Buster Keaton.
But they were cast in the same film, and then later on they worked together in another film, and the director started noticing that the audience responded really well when these two guys were on screen together. So they became a team, they worked together for many years, and became very good friends.
And one of them almost didn't end up on screen either.
Why?
His eyes were too blue.
Yes, that was Stan Laurel. I don't know if that would have actually prevented him from being on screen, but it was certainly a problem. And it was a problem that was solved in part by a fellow who was a cinematographer at that point. He later became a famous director in his own right, George Stevens. He directed such movies as Giant, A Place in the Sun, and Shane. Shane was probably his most famous film. But anyway, Stan Laurel's eyes were such an incredible, distracting shade of blue that even in black and white, they drew attention to themselves. They made him look like he was blind, actually. So George Stevens, I don't know what the technical trick was, but he came up with a way to photograph Stan Laurel so that his eyes weren't such a distraction.
Interesting.
We saw the Laurel and Hardy Museum, and the website, by the way, is laurelandhardymuseum.org.
There's also another museum we had a chance to breeze by, and that museum was the Uncle Remus Museum.
Also in Georgia, just a little bit down the road.
That's right. Now, the Uncle Remus Museum is actually two slave houses, and they've been sort of put together.
And if you're not familiar with Uncle Remus, he's a character that figures prominently in the stories told by Joel Chandler Harris. And that's where you also find the stories of Brer Rabbit and all of his shenanigans.
Splash Mountain, anyone?
Yes.
Uncle Remus is sort of the African-American Aesop because he told the stories about, and it's actually Joel Chandler Harris telling these stories, but they're stories that he heard from slaves when he was working on a plantation as a teenager. They're stories that involve animals.
Now, my understanding is that Joel Chandler Harris wrote down these stories, much like the Grimm brothers wrote down the stories that they heard.
Yes, that's true. He was a folklorist. He was born in Eatonton, Georgia in 1848, and Eatonton is where this museum is located.
So we have brought you a Brer Rabbit story this week. We're calling it The Tragic Fate of Jack Sparrow.
Now, once upon a time, there was a sparrow by the name of Jack.
Captain Jack Sparrow, if you please.
And Jack had a rather bad habit. He liked to gossip and interfere, meddle in people's business. And one day, he learned that Brer Fox was really mad at Brer Rabbit for something he'd done and was planning to get even.
You don't say.
And he was in the tree and eavesdropping when he heard Brer Fox say, "Why, that Brer Rabbit thinks he can get away with pouring molasses down my foxhole, does he? Just wait till he sees what I'm going to do. I'm going to put red pepper all over his carrots."
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
And Jack Sparrow decided that he would go and tell Brer Rabbit what Brer Fox was planning to do.
Brer Rabbit.
Yeah, what's up, Doc?
I'm actually not a doctor. I'm a captain, but that's an entirely different story.
You don't say.
No, but I do say that I've overheard Brer Fox and what he's planning to do to you.
Oh, yeah? Well, what is it? What is it?
Apparently, he's rather upset about an incident involving molasses down the foxhole. Somewhat of an accident, I'm sure. But in any case, he now plans to put pepper onto your carrots.
Why, I tell you what I'm gonna do.
You ought to keep a sharp eye out, is what you ought to do.
I tell you what I'm gonna do. Why, I'm gonna get into that fox's hole in the middle of the night when he's sleeping, and I'm gonna tie his foxy fox tail to the bedpost. That's what I'm gonna do.
You don't say.
So when Brer Fox saw Brer Rabbit again, he said, "Hello there, Brother Rabbit. Would you like some fresh carrots?"
I think not. Why, I know what you're up to. I do.
"Oh, I think you'd like them. They're nice and fresh."
Not with red pepper on them.
Why do you think they have red pepper on them?
Brer Fox, you're not going to trick me. I know what you're up to. You put red pepper all over those carrots there. Yes, you did.
Who told you that?
Why, Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Sparrow told me, of course.
Oh, a little birdie told you, eh? I think that little birdie should mind his own business. Well, later on, Jack Sparrow decided, hey, he might as well go tell Brer Fox what Brer Rabbit was planning to do when he was asleep.
Brer Fox?
Yes, what do you... yes?
I have a little bit of news for you.
Oh, I can't quite hear you. You see, I'm deaf in one ear, and I can't hear out of the other. Why don't you hop on my back, you tasty little morsel? You nice little friend, you.
Very well, then. Now then, apparently I've heard tell that Brer Rabbit is planning to sneak down into your foxhole in the middle of the night.
Oh, I still can't hear you very well. Why don't you climb up on top of my head?
Very well. I said Brer Rabbit is planning to come into your foxhole.
That's a little louder, but still your diction is not that good. Why don't you hop up on my nose so I can hear you and read your beak at the same time?
All right, fair enough. What I said was, Brer Rabbit is planning to come into your foxhole while you are asleep.
You don't say. And that was the end of that meddlesome Jack Sparrow.
All right, so we couldn't resist that story, having our own Jack Sparrow in the household, who's been doing a lot of dressing up and drooling over various items to acquire to make the Jack Sparrow costume complete.
Yeah, I've been massively upgrading my Jack Sparrow outfit, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to start doing parties and other such events in character as Jack.
Right, he's been having so much fun busking and dressing up as the character, and he pulls it off so well. He's thinking about doing birthday parties and fairs and other events as we travel across the country.
Once again, the Uncle Remus Museum is in Eatonton, Georgia, which is also the birthplace of Alice Walker, the Pulitzer Prize-winning novelist of The Color Purple. Now, by the time you hear this, we will have performed in Georgia, which is state number 45 for us.
Took us 15 years to get here. Yay, go Georgia.
Yeah, well, we've been to Georgia before, but this is our first time to perform here in Georgia. And after that, we head to Florida.
Yay, just like the other snowbirds. We'll be down in Florida for a few months. We have a performance coming up that will be open to the public in Miami Beach, Florida, and that'll be in January. And also, we do have a call-in number. No matter when you hear this, I know a lot of people, might catch up on the podcast a few months and figure out, oh, I can't call in. But yes, you can call us and leave comments at 800-429-6576. That is our voicemail number. That's 800-429-6576. Or you can, of course, leave comments on our podcast page at activated.libsyn.com. We've also got Activated Story Park available for download if you have Roller Coaster Tycoon 2. Okay, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks. We'll be talking about Disney.
And on that note, anchors away, and we'll catch you next week, eh?
The Activated Storytellers perform at schools and libraries nationwide. On stage, we use American Sign Language, physical comedy, imaginative props, and a giant, oversized book to bring the stories to life. For booking information, check our website at www.activated-storytellers.com, where you can also find out when the Activated Storytellers will be performing near you, read a story, or order one of our audio CDs. Until next time.